Yeah, thank you very much for coming. My name is Marcin Kierdelewicz. I run SI and channel business for Canonical. So I'm responsible for our global partnership network. We do have different types of partnerships, but I specifically work with our partners who help us to sell with and sell through, also create solutions based on our technologies. Now, this session is the first business sessions. And what we had a lot today was like really deep dive into technology of OpenStack. I was surprised that I didn't see any kind of Python code, but I really think that when you talk about the OpenStack, you also need to understand the business aspect, right? The challenges that that managers in IT departments, that CIOs needs to go through to kind of make these decisions to go cloud. And when you make that decision that you want to go cloud, then you have automatically a number of options available, and different people call different things as a cloud, and then you need to make a right decision for your organization. This presentation is really all about doing the cloud transformation. So how do you change your organization from becoming traditional enterprise into an innovative, a service provider? I will talk about it, but the way you change the IT, it changes, from IT departments running the applications to really, you helping to serve your customers and external and internal customers. Now, Gartner says that, by 2020, a corporate no cloud policy will be as rare as no internet policy today. Now, 2020 is just in 3 years' time, right? It's not actually that far ahead. So those are the things, those are the decisions that you're making at the moment. Those are the things that you're thinking of at the moment. You don't change that strategy on the daily basis. This is a long term. Typically, enterprise make decisions about changing infrastructure, every 10 to 15 years. So yes, in app development, things happen very quickly. New technologies are coming up almost every 6 months, if not more often. But infrastructure is not exactly the same, and the reason for that is because you don't develop new hardware every 6 months. You don't have a new capex model to procure the hardware every 6 months, and so on. Now, by 2019, more than 30% of the 100 largest vendors will shift from cloud first to cloud only. Now, this is very important because at the moment, we're still thinking, what is cloud? Should I go to cloud? Is this cloud strategy really for me? I think there were a lot of questions. What is OpenStack? Why should we use it? Is it production ready? I think the message we're bringing is it's not a question if it's production ready. It's production ready for a long time. Yes, there are many different ways of spinning off OpenStack, and there are right ways to do it, and a bit of kind of challenging projects as well. But it is production ready for a long time. Yes, it's a very active project, with more over 400 different vendors included into project, but it is production ready, and if you focus on the parts, bits and pieces that are right for your organization, you can certainly start using them today. Now, what's interesting also is that hybrid clouds will be the most common ones. So again, when you make a decision, should I go cloud now? Should I go public cloud, private cloud? You shouldn't think about it. Most of organizations, most of enterprises, most of service providers will go hybrid. There's obvious reasons, right? It's very easy to start with public cloud. If you're starting new software development project, you just go on private cloud, spin off a couple of VMs, write the code, and within a couple of weeks, you have a first proof of concept or first prototype of your software, right? On the other hand, there are some certain type of information that you want to actually keep in-house. So for that reason, you will always run these things on a private cloud. Also, you want to benefit from a hybrid, because whenever you reach a capacity of your internal cloud, you want to use that public cloud to actually serve the demand from your customers. It's a very basic message here, but I want to actually say, and I think it's worth to explain what is actually cloud, what do we mean by cloud versus virtualization, where what we see on the market, a lot of vendors call virtualization cloud. Now, you can read through that, but really what it means is if you decide to go cloud, that means you offer services, IT services, infrastructure services, application, IaaS, PaaS, or SaaS to your users. Versus virtualization is still, it still means, IT is managed heavily by IT department within an organization, right? So the difference is, whenever you do a cloud transformation within your organization, your automatic objective should be, if I'm internal user for the IT and I would like to spin off a new service, right, to serve our external customers, I should be able to go to a system, I should be able to request it, and be able to create that new service almost immediately, compared with what happens today with traditional IT. Right, you go to a lot of meetings. You then, request for budgets. Then you go and, IT takes that to actually, make it production ready, which takes them, weeks, if not months. It always takes long. It always takes time. Now, what we also see is that large enterprises, because of these processes, are losing flexibility and actually lose competitive advantage, right? That's why, a lot of people said today in the morning that, 20 people companies, 30 people organizations, are able to innovate and deliver better solution than the large enterprises, right? Now, I want to touch for you also on a scale up versus scale out for you to better understand also what the cloud is. So in the traditional enterprise, the way companies run software today is whenever you reach your capacity, your hardware capacity, you want to launch more users or serve more users on your applications. What you do, you buy a bigger hardware, right? You buy a bigger hardware, then maybe for applications, maybe for database, etc. But this is what you can do because, again, every couple of years, the new hardware arrives, and specifics of that hardware will be much higher than what you have in your data center. Now, the cloud concept is completely different. The cloud concept really says that it doesn't matter how small or how big servers you have in your data center, right? You do scale your application horizontally. So whenever you want to add more, you want to serve more users, you just add more capacity by adding, more VMs or, more any type of infrastructure to your platform. Now, what is really the difference? The difference really is, I always say that, with the cloud, you're able to run IT projects that traditional IT is not able to deliver. Typical example is, Bank A acquires Bank B, right? What they need to do is they need to migrate, the customers from a Bank B to Bank A. So they set up the big IT projects that they're going to run over the next 10 years to do the whole migration. Unfortunately, they reach capacity of what they can do, right? And those projects will, very often are not being successfully delivered. Now, what it also means is, you see after 5 years, they change the projects, and actually, then bank makes decisions that they're actually going to maintain 2 different brands, et cetera, et cetera. Now, going towards cloud, going through your cloud transformation means that actually you'll be able to do that. And this is a big change because today, enterprises are not able to do that, right? Today, only the new innovative organization, right, are able to, double size of their users over the night, right? It's only Facebook, only WhatsApp, only Google, and there's a number of companies that can do. Now, where that cloud transformation is taking us to be able to deliver exactly the same applications and the same service for the enterprises. So the enterprises can start actually compete with those large organizations that hold multi-billion-dollar budgets. We spoke today a lot about, Canonical and Ubuntu, and I'll just very quickly say, why we talk about the cloud, right? So Ubuntu is number one, is a leader in the cloud and scale-out workloads. Whenever you do deployments of, most of the passes, big data, or software-defined storages and similar, scale-out deployments, you usually deploy it on Ubuntu. Like 90% of those deployments happen on our platform. From the very, very beginning, from the day one, on the server and cloud infrastructure, we at Ubuntu were focusing on the building OS for the cloud. We were not really interested in building, the Linux for a traditional enterprise and compete with the most common vendors that you have. We said that's the market that they own. We're not interested in doing all those certifications and releases every 2 or 3 years. We're going to go agile. We're going to build a cloud OS. As you know, we have a new release every 6 months, exactly the same as OpenStack. And OpenStack Foundation actually kind of follows the rules of development that we have at Canonical. We dominate the cloud, so 70% of public guest OS within Google, Amazon, and Azure is Ubuntu. So what it means is, most of the people, more than 50% of the people who spin off new services on those public clouds are using Ubuntu, right? We own more than half of deployments of OpenStack, and I think it's a 58% of what Foundation calls super user deployment, so 1,000 plus nodes. Again, this is because our OS was ready to serve that scale out from the beginning, and also, we put the latest and newest technology into our software. It's not us talking about, good things about Ubuntu, but it's good to see others, experts in the industry talking about us as well. And that slide is something what I mentioned for you to understand, among the OpenStack community, how many people are using Ubuntu versus, other distributions, right? As you can see, we own there's more than 50% of users that are using Ubuntu. Now, what I want to focus on 2 things when you think of a cloud transformation, going cloud strategy, right? One is the infrastructure changes that you need to make, and 2 is application changes that you need to make in your organization and why you need to do it, and also what sort of challenges you face. So this is traditionally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vendors. There might be 6 of them, but there's probably less than a dozen vendors that own 80–90% of the budgets within the enterprise today, right? Now, this is the traditional way of building IT, where what you do is, you buy specific hardware for specific large software, to do the enterprise deployment. Now, to spin off or do implementation of that new software, as average SAP implementation is, 2 years plus, right, project. So, it's not that agile. It's not that, the organization can actually adopt that IT so quickly. It's not that they can, implement changes so quickly. Now, this is changing because together with, Amazon and Azure and public cloud coming, everybody is looking at that side. Hey, if I'm starting a new project, now do I really need to procure that hardware? Do I need to procure another instances of Oracle and go through that at least 3 months procurement process to get everything signed off? Maybe I can go to Amazon and I can just spin off 2-3 VMs and start coding today. Now what they're going to be able to do as well is they're going to be able to new software development languages to develop a new scale-out applications, right? Something that very often, enterprise are not ready today. Very often, for that reason, they lose competitive advantage because they're not able to hire new talents that are interested in, coding on top of these old technologies, right? So you have a public cloud. On the private cloud, you have the OpenStack. So those are the new infrastructure changes that you're going to make. Ubuntu supports all of them. We We are majority of the installations of all these platforms. Now, the way your new infrastructure is going to look like is you build the cloud. That's very often is going to be hybrid cloud, same as Gartner says. Now, on top of that, you're going to run your cloud marketplace and operations in an automated way. Now, there are a couple of things you need to consider when you build a hybrid cloud. First is interoperability. So what you need to do really is you need to connect you have your OpenStack up and running. You have AWS. Now what you want to do, you want to make it look as one cloud. So what you do is you build a hybrid cloud using various technologies. Now what you're going to see is actually not that OpenStack software works with anything, right? So it's very important that when you make a decision to pick up the hardware or a software elements from OpenStack, you pick them in the way that they're going to work together in your cloud. Now, for that reason, and Chris Kenyon mentioned that earlier today, we run an OpenStack Interoperability Lab in Boston. It's a physical lab in Boston where we build 3,500 clouds per month. It's a fully automated process, but that's the way we work with the vendors who are involved in OpenStack project to help them with tweaking their products, so they're going to be they're going to work with OpenStack, right? Now, this is a fully automated process that helps us to see what are the stable vendors within OpenStack ecosystem. Now, what it also helps us with is it helps us release a new version of OpenStack just days after OpenStack trunk, release is made, right? So if you take a look at the most recent release of OpenStack is Mitaka. It's been launched around Austin time 6 months ago during Austin OpenStack Summit. Now we were able to launch, I believe, 7 days after that, right? Only because we just had to recompile and test everything again. But because we do that continuous interoperability testing and build, we're able to launch so quickly. Now there were questions about, I think you've asked, how can you launch the infrastructure, in the same way as you do applications. It's exactly how you do that, right? Fully automated systems. Again, that lab is managed by half a dozen people. It's not a big operations, but yes, they're able to run so many clouds. Now, when you build a hybrid cloud, another thing you need to think about is connectivity, right? You really want that to look as a one cloud. Right, so networking here is very important. So what you usually do is, you choose one of the SDN vendors and you install the SDN on top of both clouds to make it one environment. Now, what Canonical offers you is we offer the biggest SDN ecosystem in OpenStack, which means that we give you a choice because different SDNs will be a good fit for different purpose. Right? If you're running a telco workloads, you might want to go with one SDN. If you're running, I don't know, only just big data analytics, you probably will go with something else, right? So we give you actually the choice. And again, in our interoperability lab, we test those SDNs and we work with those SDN vendors to make sure that it works all together with OpenStack, as well as you can build fully automated systems to deploy and manage OpenStack clouds, OpenStack, as well as hybrid clouds. Now, automation is something that I mention all the time. We have 3 tools to build that automation. There's MAS for hardware provisioning. So what it really helps you with is whenever you build your cloud and you want to add more resources, you just bring half a rack or full rack to your data center, you cable it all, and MAS will actually automate provisioning it and make it available as a part of the resources in your cloud. Juju we use for automated modeling, for building the cloud as well as building on top of the cloud. And Landscape is our tool for monitoring and administration. So whenever you want to see how much of the cloud you have consumed already, when is that you need to purchase a new hardware or there's any failures or there's any upgrades that need to be done, you can actually update thousands of VMs of OSs with just a couple of clicks. Now, a lot of enterprises make that decision about, should I go public, private, or, when it makes sense to go with public and private. And there's a lot of documentation on that. If you Google, there are vendors who came up with actually the charts that shows that public cloud is the easiest way for you to start. And if you're just starting your software development project, running on a couple of VMs, yes, it's definitely, the quickest way and most cost-efficient way to start with public cloud. Now, if you're going to roll out your system into production where you need to actually scale it out and have more than those few, and you start receiving your invoices from Amazon, Azure, or Google, actually you'll see that it makes sense for you to invest in the public cloud. It makes financial sense together with buying hardware, paying for support of OpenStack, SDNs, all of that. Now again, you're building a hybrid cloud. Software changes that you need to be aware of when you do a cloud transformation. Again, those are probably the solutions that exist within your data centers today. Traditional enterprise deployment, it will be, a JBoss or Tomcat or WebSphere application deployment, connected to Oracle, maybe LAMP stack, running on enterprise Linux. Now, actually, going cloud means that within your data center, you're going to see a little bit different technology as well, right? So nobody uses LAMP stack for building a cloud solutions anymore, right? What you need to do, all those little elements that you got used to use, you need to think of them as using a scale out technology that will replace your traditional software. And yes, there are people who, work similar projects to LAMP stack, which is called Mean. You're going to see people, building microservices as a way of, building a scale-out systems, PaaS, different platforms as service, and of course, any other scale-out platforms that, are required to be deployed on the cloud or bare metal. Now, what's very important here is that, the transition you're going through within your enterprise is really changing your mindset from thinking of our IT is installing and maintaining and building applications towards we're building multi-tenant shared services or shared service catalog for our users. And your users will be, internal or external. So don't worry that IT departments will have, nothing to do within an enterprise. They will definitely do, and there's going to probably, be actually more resources from a kind of power perspective, assigned to IT, because you'll see more servers, you'll see, different workloads, etc. But to really think of it as, a new technology is coming, you need to think of, modeling your services, whatever you offer to your internal, external customers, and then managing that in a fully automated way. That runs on Ubuntu. Model-driven DevOps. So everybody thinks of DevOps, and there were questions about how do I use configuration management tools, etc. The reality is that yes, very often when you design new service, you get a whiteboard, and managers actually write it down how they would like to see the service. With a new way of going cloud, you can take exactly the same model that people, draw on the whiteboard and design it with Juju, and then later on deploy. What it means is, in the old times, the traditional way, IT was never understood by the management, right? Whenever you had a software and they wanted to do something with it, they were calling IT guy and asking him to explain how it works. Now, you're kind of linked, you connect those two things together. And then, of course, those workloads can be deployed on any platforms. Very quickly, how we can help you with. A lot of people were saying that it's difficult to start with the cloud. Again, it is production ready. You can start your journey today. We even offer you a fully managed service if you want to see how the production-ready cloud should look like. We can help you actually with designing that cloud and building that cloud. We're not going to actually charge you for building that cloud. We're going to only charge you for operating that cloud for X amount of months or years. It's up to you. Now, during that time, you're going to build your skill set with your organization to take over that cloud, and then we'll give you the keys to that cloud. Canonical offers you the biggest ecosystems within OpenStack world. Again, we partner with large organizations like IBM and Microsoft, as well as smaller players. We have different types of offerings where we give our customers a choice of choosing a type of engagements they want to do with us. So sometimes we just provide the support, and up to we provide a fully managed service. We do have a network of integration partners around the world. I think you're very happy here in Benelux, specifically in Netherlands, to have a Fairbanks. They have really invested in OpenStack technology very early. They have very skilled people, and they really know how to build those clouds as well. And to prove that, they just launched today the OpenStack Lab, or sandbox, they call it, right? Where actually you can go on their website, OpenStack.nl, sandbox, and then you can sign up to use OpenStack Cloud for X amount of days or weeks. If you would like to see, if your workloads are ready to become a cloud workloads. It's 25 minutes, and we just ran over the time. Maybe quickly, if there is one or two questions. Yes, please. I'm not going to throw the microphone.
Do you see a possibility for traditional workloads to be shifted towards cloud infrastructures, like the more traditional systems on top of an IaaS?
They could be, but there are a couple of requirements that need to be met. Right. First thing, think of them as if they're not or they cannot be very large workloads, right? So think of them, there is a way of turning your traditional software into microservices, right? So if you're able to do that, then yes, this is probably the quickest way for you to migrate from non-cloud workloads to cloud. Now there's going to be two elements in that. There's going to be elements of applications that store any data, and that part you will probably have to migrate towards a new cloud scale out databases like MongoDBs or Redis and all of that, right? Now the part that is pure applications, very often then you will be able to connect to a database and run it as a microservice in the cloud. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. So thank you very much. We're just on time. So yeah, thank you very much for your time. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy your cloud journey. And please come talk to us. We have a booth, and talk to Fairbanks. Thank you.